Once again, I think Narnia is trapped in something else's shadow. In this video, I'm going to explain basically why my feelings about Netflix's upcoming adaptations of the Chronicles of Narnia have changed so much. In my previous video, I was pretty optimistic. I've been as jaded as anybody for the past several years about Narnia adaptations, but I was really excited when Netflix was announced. And I'm going to explain why I've done almost a 180 in the past several months. So to summarize my previous video, in short, I thought Netflix was something I've been asking for a while, but didn't think it would actually happen. I was surprised when Netflix announced they were developing Narnia adaptations. There's no release date on those anyway. There's no release date on those or anything at this point, but supposedly they're in development. Basically, the reasons are Netflix's reputation for giving creators a lot of creative control. In other words, here's a novel idea, letting the people who are the creative people have creative control, rather than the suits and the CEOs saying, you must have an epic battle at the end because Lord of the Rings had one, you know. Okay, letting the creative people have creative control. Netflix has a reputation for doing that. And number two, I thought it indicated to me probably have a lower budget, which means fewer people trying to protect their investment, fewer cooks in the kitchen. Once again, more power to the creatives. And finally, Netflix's fairly unique ability to go right for the niche audience, rather than let's try to make something that will appeal to everyone and their dog, even people that probably wouldn't like the books either. You know, why are we trying to twist Narnia so that even the people that wouldn't like the books will like the movies? Let's just focus on a niche audience, you know, and make it for them. So I thought there were a number of reasons to be really optimistic. For the first time in many years, I was optimistic about the future of Narnia adaptations, and these books are so special to me. That was a really cool feeling to be excited about new Narnia adaptations. Basically, what has changed in the past several months is, and these are just impressions based on press releases and interviews and stuff. We know almost nothing about these productions as far as what we're going to actually see. But it now feels like we're kind of right back where we started, which is Narnia being trapped in the shadow of something else. In this case, but not just Lord of the Rings, but Game of Thrones as well. So I think my kind of unease started with an interview with Mark Gordon, the producer, and it's with the Financial Times. He's a producer talking to the Financial Times. You know, that context is really important to remember. And it's not like Mark Gordon is, at least I don't think, going to be on the set every day directing this thing. You know, he's just a very high-level producer. So naturally, he talks about the marketing. But he said, hey, basically the pitch he made to Netflix that convinced them to start developing Narnia adaptations was, hey, it's anything that looks or smells like Game of Thrones is going to be popular. And Narnia has 3,000 characters. It's this big world. We can keep on endlessly mining for content. That was the pitch he gave to them. So what concerns me about that is not so much the Game of Thrones comparison. Again, he's a producer talking to the Financial Times. It doesn't surprise me that he would dwell on the things that, hey, look, this is financially viable, this investment in Narnia. And I don't even really mind the Game of Thrones comparison so much. Okay, they're both vaguely medieval fantasy worlds. Okay, sure, whatever. What concerns me is, once again, Narnia adaptations being founded not on, hey, these books are great, and wow, imagine seeing these as movies. These could be great movies. Let's make these. Let's try to, if we can capture even half of what makes these books great, it's going to be a great movie. Or a great series, or whatever. Supposedly Netflix is making both Narnia movies and series. We still don't know any details on what that breakdown is going to be exactly. So, rather than, hey, these books are great, let's make this, it's Lord of the Rings is popular, and Amazon's developing a Lord of the Rings series. Game of Thrones was popular, and that's over. Hey, Narnia seems vaguely similar, let's make that. Loving Narnia not because of what it is, but because of what it's sort of similar to. It makes me feel like we're right back where we started, which was in the Walden days. The Walden movies were founded on Lord of the Rings was popular. Oh, Narnia's kind of similar. Let's make that. That's why the Lord of the Rings influence is so strong in those movies. As that's why they feel those movies feel pretty generic and why they've been largely forgotten. They're not horrible movies. The first two in particular, I think, are pretty good actually, but not particularly memorable, but pretty good. But the general public, they watched them. They were generally well received. They did pretty good box office, and then were pretty quickly forgotten because it was just another fantasy movie to kind of throw on the pile. It never really stood out as something special. It's the mistake Hollywood falls into all the time, where they see something revolutionary. Lord of the Rings was revolutionary, seeing that kind of fantasy world done with that much emotional depth and being done so believably. And the way it was done and the passion it was done with, never seen anything quite like that before. Then Hollywood comes along and says, hey, see that revolutionary thing that no one had ever done before? Let's do something like that, and it'll be popular. No, the point was it had never been done before. The best you can hope for is a second place award, if you do it again. The point is, it hasn't been done before. If you try to do the thing that was revolutionary and try to do it again, you've already missed the point. The point was you're trying to do the thing again that had never been done before. Anyway, so the point is, Narnia was founded on that. And that's why a lot of the things that makes the book special and unique didn't make their way into the movies, because a lot of the things that make it uniquely Narnia, well, that would never happen in a Lord of the Rings book. They kind of minimize those aspects of it. Like dwelling on, like the end of Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. The book is all about the joy of restoring the statues and that excitement. It's such a wonderful moment in the book. And in the movie, they just do the battle and almost completely cut out the statue restoring stuff. That's the heart of the book. That's why we love it. This isn't a little thing. This is the entire climax of the book. They switch it and do the battle instead. Because, yeah, they got battles in Lord of the Rings. I guess we got to do it in Narnia too. That's kind of the thinking that went into the Walden movies. Again, the first two movies I thought were pretty good movies for what they were. And fair adaptations, but they were weighed down by trying to not be, let's make Narnia movies. They were trying to say, let's make things that are like spiritual sequels to Lord of the Rings. And this feels like, with Netflix, here we are again. Once again, Narnia trapped in the shadow of something else. The other big development, the biggest development that's come out in the past several months since I did my last video, was announcing Matthew Aldrich as the creative architect of Netflix's Narnia movies and series. We're assuming the creative architect means the same thing as showrunner, basically. So we're assuming he's going to break down what's a movie, what's a series. It'll be his scripts. He'll be it's his vision, his story. He's the most creative voice in this. We're assuming that's what that means. And Matthew Aldrich, and he's best known as the co-writer of Pixar's COCO. He just strikes me as the kind of guy you get when you want to find someone you can control. I still get the sense from this production of a bunch of people in suits gathered around a boardroom table saying, well, let's see, we should do a series, and there should be this many battles, and there should be this many subplots that do this. Okay, Mr. Aldrich, can you just go use your knowledge of story structure and turn that into a thing? It's still, I don't get the sense the creatives are really in control. And Matthew Aldrich is the kind of guy, he's not an auteur. I don't think you hire Matthew Aldrich because you want someone who's got a vision to really, hey, I got a story to tell. You hire them because you already know what you want. You already know the product you want. You just need someone to put it on paper, basically. That's the vibe I get from Matthew Aldrich. I really hope I'm wrong. I liked COCO. He was one of the co-writers on that, so I would love it to be proven wrong and have him do something really creative with Narnia. And most importantly, I'd love to see the creative person be in charge, not the suits. Finally, the growing sense of Netflix is sort of in trouble. Netflix knows they're at a tipping point. With Disney Plus and Amazon's Lord of the Rings series, they are at a tipping point. They need to do something, or they're going to be gone. The sense I had of, hey, Netflix releases a bunch of series and content every year. Narnia will just be another one of those. It won't be like a tentpole thing for them. I saw that as a positive thing. We can see fairly low budget productions that are, hey, let's make something that a niche audience really loves and not have to worry about pleasing everyone. Once you have to please everyone in the whole world, you start doing things that you wouldn't do if you could just focus on the people that who would like this kind of thing. So the growing kind of state of Netflix and the place they're in, I have a growing sense that Narnia could be a very big tentpole thing for them. And I think that's probably more bad than good. So in short, it just feels like we're right back where we are again. Something else was successful. Game of Thrones was successful. And there's every reason to believe that the Lord of the Rings series from Amazon is going to be successful, and Netflix needs something. They need something to draw people away from Disney Plus and Amazon and compete. So as of now, I would say I'm definitely not nearly so optimistic as I was when Netflix was first announced last year, and I would probably say I'm downright pessimistic. I'm looking for a reason to be, like, all the reasons I had to be optimistic about Netflix a year ago, those don't really seem valid anymore at this point. But hey, these are just impressions. All we know is I'm making a judgment based on the state of the industry, based on my impressions of Matthew Aldrich, and an interview that a producer gave with the Financial Times. We haven't seen obviously no trailer, haven't even shot the things yet. We don't even know when they're going to shoot or what the release date is. Gresham doesn't even seem to know. Douglas Gresham pretty much said he doesn't know what's going on with Netflix. He hasn't heard anything in a while. So I would love to be proven wrong, but at this point I'm kind of right back where I started, not feeling pessimistic about Netflix's Narnia productions that are in development. And I really hope my next video is saying, hey, I swung back around. I'm excited again. I love that feeling of these books are so important to me, and I think the world, they've got things in them the world needs to hear right now. It needs to feel right now. And I would love to feel that excitement for, hey, there's good Narnia content coming. I would love to feel that. But right now, right back where I started, which is pretty jaded about these.